Hannah, thank you so much for coming on to today's episode.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
So, just to fill in the audience a little bit about who Hannah is a private bartender with over 10 years of experience. A really cool little fact is Elizabeth and I actually worked with Hannah when we started out as a wedding rentals business, and we did a lot of collaborations.
Yes. Yeah, I remember I was working at a venue and they were doing like an open house and you guys came up and introduced yourself. And I remember being really like, wow, they were so friendly. Like that was, and I still feel like a lot of people aren't like that. Like you just were like, yeah, we talked on Instagram. Hey, it's me. And I was like, oh my gosh, hey. And ever since then, you guys have always been so friendly and just like outgoing. Whereas I feel like sometimes there can be awkwardness. Like you talk to people online maybe, and they're not as like open in person. So I remember that about you immediately. And you guys were just so friendly and yeah.
Thank you so much. I remember that. That was like, was that Superstitions?
Yeah.
I always get that
Superstition Manor.
Okay, Superstition Manor.
And I don't know if it was like an open house or something. And you guys were there with some rentals or like a booth or something. I don't remember. But you guys just came right up to me. And I remember being like, oh, wow, they were so nice. Yeah, I don't know why. It was just, I feel like not everybody is that open.
And I think like during that time, you were also kind of like in the middle of starting to do private events, I think.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It was right when I started my prior bartending company. And I had only done that for like 30 days. So I was very, very new on that. Yeah.
Like doing stuff solo.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha. And so during that time, you were like working with a partner or something?
Yeah. So actually, it's a kind of an interesting story. So we were acquaintances, friends that had worked together like 10 years before. And then during COVID, she had posted something on Facebook saying that she needed the place she was working at, which was Superstition Manor, was looking for bartenders. And I was like, sure. So I went and worked there. And then she was starting a mobile bar service. And I had never heard of anything like that. And she was like renovating her horse trailer. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And she was really like, you can do it too. And I was like, oh, well, isn't that going to be like annoying? Yeah. And she was so nice about it. She was like, no, you can do it too. Like, yeah, of course you can do it too. And I was like, okay, sure. So she was, every time I would see her, she'd be like, just post about it. Just tell your friends and stuff. So that's what I started doing. And then I got 30 days into that. And she was like, okay, never mind. I need your help. And so I was like, cool, absolutely. So then that's how I became partners with her. And I was doing that with her for like a year. And then it just didn't work out to continue to be partnered together. And so I always still look at it. At the time, it was kind of devastating. I don't think I ever told you. Yeah. I don't think I ever told you like the whole story about it, but it was devastating. Yeah. Cause in my head, we were partners and that's how I had been acting. And I had been like completely committed and just like, that was my only job. I was just fully, and it didn't work out to continue to be partners from her side, which I totally understand now. But looking back, like it made it so that I knew exactly what to do with my own business. So like I got like a crash course that I would have never gotten from any other experience. So I was able to see like what CRM do we use? Like how do we price? Just how does an actual event function? Like it was just, there was no way to ever replace that experience. So yeah, it was hard to split, but when we did, I was like, okay, I can do this. And I just never looked back. Like the day I found out, I was like, okay, I'm going to make a new website. I'm going to start over on my own. And that's what I've been working on ever since. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So it was like you were doing some bartending at Superstition Manor, and then you like started doing your own thing, and this other opportunity came in at the same time, and then you ended up kind of just dropping everything and working with them for a while. I see. Gotcha. Yep. And look at you now, 3 years later. 4 years, right?
Yeah.
You just passed 3?
Yeah. So 3 years since I started my own
Prickly Pear Bar Co.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. Team, links will be in the description below. Something really cool is, okay, what year are we? 2025.
Yep, that sounds right.
I think you bartended our wedding actually, and I have a sign.
No.
This is a sign that you like.
Funny how like seeing it brings back like the entire. This is so cute, actually.
Yeah, signage was like so popular back then. Is that still a thing?
Just starting. This type of signage was just starting to get popular. So that's so cute.
That's so funny.
I love that. I'm so happy you still have it.
To be honest, like I don't even really remember anything from that night. But...
Well, I was gonna say, do you? Sometimes I think about it because I don't know why. Again, it stands out to me so much. Just like my experience with you guys, because like I said, it was brand new and you guys were just so friendly, and I feel like you guys have stayed like loyal and just stayed like supportive. So you guys just, I don't know, it just stands out. But like I always think of like the honey sage. Was it a honey sage? Yeah, honey sage old fashioned. And for some reason, I just always remember it because you guys were like, we want cool drinks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I saw it was a lot of fun. And you guys had like, was it like disco kind of
Yeah,
vibes?
it was.
Yeah, like, yeah.
Yeah, good memory.
Yeah.
It's so funny because like you said that, I was like, was it?
Yeah,
Like,
and I
don't even
remember too, like it's funny, and I don't feel bad saying this because I just feel like this is with any business. Like you can look back on stuff and be like, man, that was not good enough type thing. And so the bar that we used, it was cute, but it wasn't function wise. It was terrible. So I just remember there was like stuff everywhere back there from the front. It looks really polished. And I remember like stepping on the other side and I was like, okay, it looks really cute. And then we had to like set up tables because it just wasn't enough space. I think that was like the first wedding. No, that can't be right because I was working with that other company and we did weddings all the time. But it must have just been like something that I took on personally.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think I just was, it stands out.
And I think you had a whole team with you, or like at least one other person.
Yeah, there was, I definitely remember at least one other person. But yeah, and I just remember it was great.
Just for the audience, what we're reading, there's a sign that I think Hannah, you gifted this to us, and it was like a his and hers signature cocktails. So for me, I had the honey sage old fashioned, and then for Elizabeth, the Tropicana. Is that a common drink?
Tropicana, I don't know.
That kind of sounds like the orange juice.
Yeah, it sounds like something tropical-y.
Yeah, literally.
I don't remember that one as much.
Okay.
What's in that one?
All right, yeah, let's go through it. In the Tropicana, we have rum, scratch peach syrup, pineapple juice, orgeat. Nice. Fresh lime juice, bitters, bruleed lemon.
Yeah.
And then in the honey sage old fashioned, bourbon, scratch honey sage syrup, orange bitters, orange peel, and a sage leaf.
Yeah, those sound good.
That was sick.
Sound good.
It's so funny because, like, to be honest, I don't really remember that day. That was we had a wedding in Sedona.
Right.
And then, but that was a private one, and we used COVID kind of as an excuse to just have it was like 16 people or something like that. And then we had this one, which was the reception. And that was kind of like, okay, everybody's invited, like mom, your friends, cousins can come out.
It was big.
It was 250 people, 200 to 250.
Yeah.
And I remember why it was so hard was because, I don't know, I feel like as a host, it's kind of up to me to kind of meet and greet a lot. I think I legit yapped for 8 hours straight.
Yeah.
It was like, and that was like 30 seconds per person. And I could not stop.
Weddings already go by so fast too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Does Liz remember? Do you guys ever talk about it? Like, does she have the same perspective as you where she was kind of just like yapping with everyone?
From her perspective, which I prefer, is that she was out enjoying herself singing and dancing.
Perfect.
So I was the one like hanging out with the guests and she was like, I'm doing my own thing. And I was like, that's exactly how it should be.
I feel like that's how you guys kind of are. Like that's just your guys' dynamic in general.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, yes.
Yapper.
That's perfect.
I go up to people that I reach out on to Instagram and I introduce myself, you know?
Yeah. I think that kind of fits.
Okay, so you've been doing Prickly Pear Barco for 3 years now. I did want to say that I think around 3 years ago is when I started my wedding business, but like from a tech perspective. So I was creating our wedding circle. And I just wanted to say, I always really appreciated that you were so supportive as well. And you were always like so hands-on and giving me feedback about like what struggles you experience and like trying to help me bridge gaps to ideally make it easier for you. And I just wanted to say thank you so much because
No, thank you. I always appreciated the fact that you wanted to talk to me about it. Like it's a mutual, appreciation because I found it always interesting talking to you about what you were coming up with, and I appreciated that you wanted my input too. So
yeah. For sure. Yeah, it's always so nice to hear. And it was like, what was the drama back then? It was like you mentioned talking about like learning on the job from your first business with your partner, and during that time you had to do a crash course in like what CRM you used, how to price and things like that. And during that time that was kind of what I was trying to solve. There were so many platforms out there. It was really confusing for new people entering the wedding business as a vendor, but then also as a couple. They're like, okay, how do I reach out? Is it through Instagram, through their website? Should I email, whatever? How do I pay? Should I Venmo? And so I was trying to solve all those things and take down the knot, Wedding Wire, Zola, the corporate America, you
Those
know,
beasts.
I'm taking them down.
No, I love your ambition. I don't think I ever caught up with you about what happened with that or where's that at.
So I like sunsetted it December 31st. So
Okay.
that means I just stopped working on it.
Got-
Like
okay.
everything was still live, but I was like, I'm not coding anymore. I'm not reaching out to wedding vendors. I'm not doing anything like that. And then I officially shut it down in April 1st this year,
Oh,
where I
okay.
was like, okay, delete the website, like turn off the URL, the domain name, whatever it's called.
Right.
And I think I was just so burnt out, which is maybe something we can talk about in a little bit. But it was balancing like three big things. I was balancing the business development, I was balancing the marketing, and then the product development. It was just, and those three hats were just like too big for me.
Yeah, I
And I
don't
was so
even-
burnt out. Yeah.
To even get that far where there's like an app that you can click, that's insane.
Thank you.
I mean, and I always say, like, from my perspective, I'm very flexible with, like, if I see a little hint of, like, oh, I'm feeling like being pulled this way, like, I usually just let myself go with it. And whether it pans out or not, like, it always is a learning.
Oh,
like,
totally.
And I know that sounds so cheesy, but, like, I really feel that.
Mhm.
Like, I just, like, I don't try to resist things. I kind of just, like, if this feels like it's calling me, I'll kind of go that way. And then, you know, if it ends up not working out, at least, like, you learned. You know, you gain some sort of skill set that you could maybe apply in the future. Who knows when it'll come up again. But if anything, you worked so hard that you had to have gained a lot from,
Yeah. Yeah, and totally wanted to echo that. With that being said, sometimes I'm kind of tired of learning. No, I'm just
Totally.
kidding. Is that so funny?
That's true.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool. All right, just give me a dub, please. I need one.
totally
Please,
get
I'm
that.
exhausted.
100%.
But there's yeah, I call that one like failing forward and things like
Yeah.
that. And yeah, what you said about how like if there's an idea in a certain direction, like you're open to exploring that and then kind of like vibing that out, you know?
Just
Vibe
going with
based.
it until it feels like you've done enough.
Yeah,
You're done
exactly.
there. Yeah.
And so going back to your first experience working with your partner, quick comment on that, which is I feel like I have also had a lot of similar experiences where there was kind of like a newish company, like a mom and pop shop, you know what I'm saying? And you being an early employee or a fellow founder or things like that, you get to kind of like you said, learn on the job, get a crash course. You get to see their mistakes as well, or the company's mistakes. You get to see their goods, their good processes. When you were working with this team, like what were some like standout things that you really liked and that you didn't like, such that when you formed Prickly Pear Barco, that was like your starting point?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, no, but I definitely still in there because it was formative for sure. You know, I definitely think that she had strengths that I don't still. We had two separate areas of strengths, and my strengths that I had there, I feel like have helped me a ton. And then sometimes I'm very critical of myself, and so I'll be like, man, I'm not as good at this. I wish I was better at this. I don't want to get too specific because there's a lot of people in the industry that know who I'm talking about, and it wasn't good for like a few years. Like we blocked each other and we didn't speak. So I don't want to say anything too specific for that reason. I will say that I'm the type of person that like, if it's weighing on me, then I need to just like, it's almost like write a letter and get it off your chest type thing. So I sort of did that. It was probably over a year ago now. And so ever since then, I feel a lot better about it personally, but I don't know if that person does. I got like a nice message back, so I think it's all good. But yeah, I don't want to say too much because I know other people know about it and nobody knows like the whole story and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't want anyone to be like, oh, it's the drama or something. But yeah, if in general, I would say that like I wouldn't have been able to even have like the confidence because she was the one who was like, you can do this. And like, yeah, we can do this. We'll figure it out. So she kind of gave me that like blind confidence that I wouldn't have had before. So I basically just took everything I learned and I was like, okay, I'm gonna
Start
apply
here.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
So genuinely so much credit. to what I learned. And I do think, like I said, she had some strengths that I don't, if anything. I don't think that like I would look back and say that there was anything where I was like, oh, I'm going to do this better. Because I really I took what I learned and I applied it, and I don't think I've gotten that introspective about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that
this is
reflection.
what I do better than we did then. I don't think I've ever had that conversation
Gotcha.
with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anything, it's more like I need to be more learning from that, or I wish I could be more like that.
Gotcha. And so then from there, you started Prickly Pear Barco. And I saw that you were like, you posted. And so I think that's kind of where I saw like you had 5 fun facts on there.
Okay.
It was your very first post. So I scrolled back last night, and that's where I was like, oh, did you go to online business school? But when we were talking earlier, it was like, I think we were talking about like early 2010s. But then you said post COVID. And then kind of the math just like worked out.
Yeah. Again, I don't even know, like COVID, I think the timeline shifted.
It's weird,
on COVID,
right?
and like I don't know what happened when.
Literally.
Like it kind of just destroyed the timeline. But yeah, it was for business now that I think about it.
Yeah. And then your 5th fact was that you love pasta. And I was like,
that's still
nice.
true. Yeah.
Okay, still true.
Favorite food.
Nice. That's so
That's
funny.
funny.
Okay. So that's so funny. Okay, so when you started Prickly Pear Barco, what was kind of like your goal? Who was like your target audience? Like you mentioned mobile bartending, and so you had a horse trailer that you were converting, or it was like a teardrop or something.
It was a camper.
A camper, and then I saw that you recently just sold it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay,
I feel
nice.
okay about it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So is that like, using that as like the entry point was was that like your first immediate goal versus just doing private bartending without the trailer?
Yeah. So I guess this is where I'm like having the introspection now, because that's just so true. I thought that because this other company, it was horse trailer heavy, and it was like big outdoor venues, and it's just way easier. So it's almost like a food truck. But so yeah, I had purchased a camper, and I was like, I need this camper to run my business. And so I purchased it, and I didn't have, because those things are, people who get those like made, those are like tens of thousands of dollars to renovate and have like fridges and just be legit. So I was like, I'm just going to do this myself. I'll make some money and do it as I can, which I did. And then about a year after I started my business, I used it for the first time on a wedding. And I barely finished it in time. Like I just really did it myself. My dad had tools, and my dad, is a mechanic and has all the dad tools. And so we just really did it ourselves. But in that year, without it, my business sort of just took a different direction, where I was using those small bars, those little satellite bars.
Satellite bar.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone calls it that anymore, but yeah, it's just like a little pop-up bar. Like some people call it like a cart. But in that year, my business kind of just went that direction. And so when I had it finished, I used it over the 3 years. I used it maybe 5 times, and I just realized that I didn't really need it. So that's why I ended up selling it, because it wasn't, my business just took a different direction. And like I said, I'm pretty flexible with like whatever way works. I'm down. So I wasn't like super set on it once I realized that you could easily
It's not even
do it
being
without
used.
it. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And I think,
was it kind of a pain in the ass, or was it pretty convenient?
in some ways it is a pain in the ass. Like I can't back in a trailer.
It's actually so hard. It's like towing is so hard, and then backing it up is like reverse.
Everyone's like, "Oh, just turn the wheel the other way," and I'm like,
it doesn't work like that. And
that
then
doesn't compute.
Jackknife or something, and you get too close, and you're like, now it's all.
So in some ways, it was more of a pain in the ass, because you had to like check the tires, and it was just a whole nother beast in that sense. But it did make it way easier versus setting up a whole bar from scratch on the ground. So it had its pros and cons, like anything. But I just found that like my business is more private events versus weddings, and they don't work as well for private events, because you're usually just in somebody's backyard through a little side gate, and you have to be able to like pull it through. So you need to have like a huge yard where you can like pull it in and turn around, or back it up, which we already know I can't do that.
It's so hard. Or you go in this way, but then now your truck can't get out, and you're like, I'm cooked.
So there either has to be enough room for you to pull in and turn around. So then we're talking somebody has a huge yard. Or you have to be able to back it in. And then I need my dad there to every time. Yeah.
That's so funny.
My business now is just, I have folding bars. And so they fold flat. They're light enough to carry.
And that's not called a satellite bar, or it is?
You know, I would still call it that.
Okay,
I
gotcha.
don't know what like technically.
But it's the thing that's like
Yeah, it's just a little.
the display.
Yeah,
like
it's like just a. It's I don't know what the exact definition of satellite bar is, but yeah,
Okay,
same.
cool.
It just folds down.
Tracking.
And then it folds out the top. Then there's a shelf in there, so it's the same thing. It's just easier to move. But yeah, so that's why I ended up selling it, because my business now I just use those bars, and that seems to be working fine for me.
And I was going to say that I think that it's really cool that you have so many different mobile bar stands, light bars, and it's cool watching you do it in real life, like actually sanding it down and painting it, because it's like you're a real person, like also doing stuff to progress and improve your product.
Yeah, I try to work that in there too. So thanks for saying that. I have a lot of other mobile bars that follow me too, so that's a fun aspect of it. It's just like that community of people from all over the country, and some like Australia, and just
that's
like
so sick.
Chatting about mobile bar stuff all the time. Yeah, so I really like that aspect of it too.
So at the beginning, I introduced you as a private bartender, and the way that I was viewing that was because I didn't want to boil it down to just weddings. So you made a comment just a second ago saying that you actually in general do more private weddings, private events. What other events are there, and like what's your general ratio of like the event type distribution?
Yeah, so I went into it definitely thinking that weddings was like where I needed to be at. And then I quickly found, and this is where I mentioned before, this strength and weakness thing. I feel like it's not necessarily my strength to go into a venue and kind of like insert myself and be like, you need me, and that type of thing. So it's been hard for me to get on like the preferred bar list at venues. And I also think that a lot of venues, they find their person, they've already found them 99% of the time, and they're happy with that, and it's smart for them to stick to their preferred bar staff.
Yeah.
So because of that reason, I just didn't have a lot of luck getting in venues. And in the beginning, there was a company that I became their preferred bar, and they manage a ton of different venues basically. So I was getting a lot of venues for the first year and a half, and then they got smart and they started doing their own bar service,
like in-house.
So, and like I said, for liability purposes, that's how it should be done. So I just found that it's not my strength to get in that deep with venues. And so I started doing bachelorette parties and birthday parties, kids' birthday parties a ton, milestone parties like 40th and 50th birthday parties, a lot of baby showers and wedding showers, engagement parties, welcome parties, like rehearsal dinner parties, basically any other.
That's not a wedding.
Basically, yeah. And I'll just like dinner parties. I'll do really small events with like just 10 people. Yeah, pretty much any reason that you can think of, I've done a party for it.
Wait, that's so cool. It's really cool to hear all of the different other possible event types that you can work. I'm trying to think like more generically, because you're right, like everything that you said are big events. And so it's cool that there is a way for people to kind of like enhance that through like a private bartender or like a private chef or whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like enhance it for sure, because people have parties, you know, but it's the level of party that makes a difference for my business, is because it's people that are investing a lot into something that could otherwise just be like a cute family party. And a lot of times it's like they're trying to impress their neighbors or their family. So yeah, it's like, yeah, you can have a kid's birthday party at like Chuck E. Cheese, or you can have just like a backyard potluck party, and that's so cute. And that's how I roll, you know. But my clients, they are throwing like extravagant parties, impressive, crazy parties where it's like, yeah, you need that extra layer of service.
Yeah. And like, to be honest, I think it's really cool when you go to an event and it's like there's kind of like somebody there already helping you, versus like one of the guests coming in and it's like, go make yourself a drink, or you know what I'm saying? Totally. Or like the host has to go run off and go do a thing. And so it's like, that is such a, I think, a strong niche that kind of like makes a lot of sense in terms of hosting, I think. And so like with that being said, have you noticed a difference in vibes between different event types?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that every single party I go to has its own vibe, and that's definitely one of our strengths, is that we just kind of like see what the vibe is and just go with it. Like, we're not there to, it's not like, I was going to say something, but I didn't want to be offensive. like maybe a DJ, you know, like you hire a DJ because of their personality and that's kind of the vibe that you want at your party, or else you wouldn't hire them because it's sort of a personality hire. And so we try to be more like we show up and whatever the vibe is, we're just going to match that vibe.
Oh.
So that's fun too, because it's especially with bachelorette parties, I think about it. Sometimes they're like hungover and they just want to like lay, and we'll just bring them drinks and like the music is low, but maybe
pool lounge.
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe sometimes they're like dancing and the music is loud, and so we really just go with it. Yeah, we don't try to control it, we just go with whatever they are looking for the vibe. So it's all across the board, really. Like there's some times where it's like just really chill, and I almost am like, does anyone know we're here? Like it's all over, it's all over the place. Yeah.
I think that's really cool, and I think that makes sense for you to like match whatever the energy is, because that's kind of like the point.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, we're not there to control it like a DJ might be, where when you hire a certain DJ, you know their vibe, and that's kind of what you wanted to begin with. Whereas for the bar, it's like, no, we want our party, but we just want to drink how we like to drink, or we want, you know, so we try to go with that.
We actually rescheduled a couple times for this interview, and you had a couple of events. How did those all go?
Yeah, everything has been going really smooth this season.
Nice.
But yeah, I've been getting, it's interesting because with not having weddings being my most booked service, a lot of them are last minute, or more last minute than you would think. So like people book their weddings a year at least in advance. So you know going into the season, you have this certain amount of events coming up to be prepared for. Whereas I hardly have any weddings this season, to be honest. And so going into it, I was like, oh, my season looks really bare. But it's just every week I'm getting like events that are happening in 3 weeks. I'm getting requests for those, or even sometimes the same week. So it's a little bit of a different style.
Like different pacing, I guess.
Yeah, I just kind of have to like hope, for lack of better word.
You're like, please, if you're throwing a party, hit me up.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I see like other companies or other types of vendors, like photographers, or, you know, they'll be like, okay, my books are closed for the rest of the year. And I'm like, mine aren't. Like, please still.
They're completely open right now.
Yeah,
Fill in the blanks.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's been different, because even last season, I still was tying up the weddings that had booked me before. So I had a lot of weddings last season, but it kind of.
Last season was
the spring. The spring season. So going into this season, I knew that it was way slower.
Gotcha.
But that hasn't really been true, because it's been just like
the last minute ones. Shorter notice. I see. Gotcha.
Which I kind of don't mind that, you know, because it's not like 6 months of emailing about it and, you know, having to like, okay, hey, how have you been? I know it's been a while. It's like you almost just get everything out of the way, and then there's the party. So I kind of like that.
Yeah. So when you're planning an event, how do you determine like the size of your team, and like how do you have people that are just like always ready, or do you have a set of employees? You know, how does that work?
Yeah, so I have a set of bartenders that have other jobs, because of how it's really only on Saturdays is like the big day. So, you know, they'll be scattered throughout, but I have a team of people who have just like a flexible job, or maybe they used to bartend and now they work in an office or something, but you know, they have those skills still and they have the weekends free. So it's a lot of people who just have flexible schedules and like want to make extra money. And basically when I need them, I will just send out the date. Like it's almost like I grab it. It's kind of like a gig vibe. So I'll send out like...
Wait, is that like an app that you just name dropped, or is that like
No, I mean just like...
Because I've had this idea before.
Well, okay, anyways, so no, there are apps that exist like that. I don't think there's any that are perfect, so not to give you...
All right, we'll yap about that after.
Yeah. I've tried a few different ones, but at this point, I really just send it in like a group text, and I'll be like, I need these shifts covered coming up, and then people will kind of just like claim them. So that's how I do it. I've tried a few apps where you kind of drop them on there, and then they can pick them up like officially. But I haven't really found any apps that I love for that. So currently I just like write it in or whatever. I forget what your original question was.
It was like, how do you determine like the size of your team? And so like at our wedding, like I said, like I recognized you, but I think you had maybe one or two other bartenders there. And like, I don't think I'd ever met.
Yeah. So when I was partnered with the other company, we staffed fewer bartenders per guest. So I think it was like one bartender for every 100 guests. And I now do one for every 50 guests.
Gotcha.
So, and that's just pretty much a standard. Like if it's like 60 and I know the bartender can handle it. So it's kind of case by case.
Yeah, it's
but
like gray area.
yeah, but mostly I do one for every 50. Yeah. And like I said, some bartenders that I have, like I know who can handle what, and I kind of just like strategically will schedule them if needed. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But I like to schedule more because I don't want there to ever be
Somebody
a
like
line.
drop out or something. Oh, a
Yeah.
line tracking.
So I like to, some people might say it's like overstaffed. And my own bartenders actually sometimes might be like, we could have done this without two, you know, but I prefer to have more in case like somebody needs to run and refill the ice, or so that there's never nobody there. So it's always covered.
And how do you determine, like, because you and I were talking a couple of years ago for our reception, and you have like, I'm like fascinated by this. Is there like an equation or like a calculation for like how many things you need or how many drinks?
Yeah, that's
whatever,
funny. I love how you said
spirit?
you're fascinated, because I do feel like it's like this big mystery. Yeah, so it is kind of like an equation, but you obviously need to set like the parameters. So, you know, it's how many guests, and then are you serving beer and wine? Like those sort of things factor in. Are you having
That's
like
cool.
tableside wine service? That'll obviously affect the quantity of wine. But yeah, I do use like a formula. I just do it like I write it out.
What's like the gist?
Yeah, so like let's say it's a 3-hour service.
Okay, so time is kind of a part of it.
Yeah, so guests will typically have a drink an hour, but in the first hour they'll have 2. So
That's
you
cool.
kind of do however many hours plus 1, and that's how many drinks each person will have. So if there's 50 guests and it's a 3-hour event, you would do 50 times 4 to figure out how many total beverages. And then from there, it's like, we need to do some fractions. Like this percentage of people will normally drink the signature. So like 90, in my experience, it's pretty high. It's like 90% of people will drink the signature cocktails, because we like to have them like on display and they look really pretty with the garnishes. And so people see those and they want that.
The honey sage, old fashioned, and Tropicana.
Exactly. Yeah. So like 90% of people will drink those. But then if you're having wine service, then that accounts for everybody, for one drink for everybody. So you have to subtract. So it kind of goes like that. You kind of have to go through the line of what's being served and like what the trends typically are. And then also it'll depend, like if one of your cocktails is an old fashioned, a lot less people will order that one versus if it's a margarita, because margaritas are just more crowd pleasers. Like less people get kind of scared by old fashioned. So like there's just some things like that you just have to estimate. And I always
like, you just know, dude, this is going to be kind of like a more tough drink for like people to want.
Yeah. People won't order that one
Makes
as much
sense.
as they would order a margarita. So you kind of have to skew it so that there's more tequila than there would be bourbon. So yeah, I mean, it's not, I know that doesn't, and again, it's, people want a formula, but there's not, you can't really.
Yeah.
There are some good calculators though. Like Total Wine and More has a calculator on their website, and it'll let you say like, it'll let you change, like 30% of people will drink beer. It's pretty in depth and it does a pretty good job, but it still can't predict like people's trends. So,
Exactly.
Yeah. I also use ChatGPT a lot too
to
like check myself. I don't know if I'll get canceled for saying that. I feel like a lot of people are against ChatGPT, right? Or AI in general.
For my work, I have to use it every day.
All right, good. So I'm safe here.
This is an AI safe household.
Got it. Okay, good.
Actually, yeah, kind of. Divided house
Oh,
or whatever.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know, some people like it's bad for the environment. I know
water
that.
usage.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's great though.
Okay, it's been pretty helpful.
Yeah, I use it a ton.
And going back to what you were saying about how Total Wine has calculations and stuff, and it's like I can come up with my own formula, and it could be maybe relatively close, but I don't have the wisdom that you have to say, well, the split between an old fashioned and a margarita are different. People are more likely at a party probably going to drink a marg, And so it's like having that kind of like knowledge is how you kind of just like hone your expertise.
Yeah, and so with my service and with most of the mobile bars here, my clients have to get their own alcohol. They have to pay for it separately.
Yeah, I was going to bring this up actually.
Yeah, because I'm not allowed to sell them alcohol because I don't have a liquor license to sell alcohol. So that's a really important part of my service is I'm responsible for telling them how much to get. Like I was going to say, I always recommend like more than we usually need. Like there's usually always extra, because God forbid that we run out and then it's my
Literally.
fault.
Yeah.
So I feel the pressure there for sure. And like that part I take very seriously on doing the equation.
Yeah.
I feel high pressure with that for sure, because if I
If it goes,
underestimate,
if you run out,
then it was my fault.
Yep.
Yeah. Which, like, anything that goes wrong is my fault at the end of the day. But that part to me, I'm like, I always over guess. But then people not knowing that I over guess, they always get way more than what I recommend anyways. It's pretty common for people to be like, oh, I just grabbed, a bunch extra. That's so much.
I times two it, and you're like, oh no, I already did that part
Exactly.
for you.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
funny. I think you even told us go to Costco because then you could just return the liquor that you didn't open or something.
Yeah, and Total Wine and More too. They'll take back anything that's unopened. Somebody told me recently that anywhere that sells liquor technically legally has to take returns. I don't know.
I'll
I
test
had
it at
never heard
Walmart.
that. Test that out for me.
Yeah.
But even like liquor stores and stuff, I guess they legally have to take unopened things back. That doesn't mean they all follow that. But
Yeah.
I guess it's more common than I thought. I thought it was like some gift that Total Wine and More and Costco were giving us.
You're like, wow, thank you so much.
So
and they're like, no, it's the
up
law.
and down recommending them to everybody, but I still do like them for more reasons than just that. Like Costco, those big bottles, like you can't get a better price. Like it's like $20 for a big bottle of vodka.
And the ratio just works out better, like dollar per ounce or whatever.
Exactly, yeah. And like they're good quality. Like the Kirkland brand is good quality. I like Costco for more than just the return policy, same with Total Wine. Like they have a good policy about like picking it up and getting it delivered and stuff. So I do still like them, but I need to test it out on other places because I recently found out it's not that special of
a rule. Yeah, all right, I'm going to Target. Let's see how good your return policy is.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I don't know if you knew this, but in other states, it's like you can't just go into other stores to like buy liquor. You have to go to like a liquor store.
Yeah, and I'm born and raised here. So I do find that really interesting because I'll have a lot of people from out of town, especially bachelorette parties. They'll come from out of town. And they'll say how crazy they find it that you can get
anywhere
booze at the grocery store.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, where would you get it otherwise? So that is
in your
funny.
brain, you're like, where else?
Yeah, to me, it's just like that's where we get it. But yeah, I do find that's really interesting. That like on Sundays past a certain time, you can't. Yeah,
exactly. 6 p.m. or something, and you're like, we're closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they open at noon or they open at 5 p.m. and they close at 6.
Yeah, up the day before because if you want to drink on Sunday, you can't get the booze that day.
Or it's closed. Exactly.
Yeah. So that is weird.
We were in Rhode Island. That's where I have some family out there, and they live like on the border of, Massachusetts. I don't know. Something like
I'm out.
I'm out too. Yeah. And so like we drove and I guess I crossed the border and I didn't know. Yeah, like it's like in the neighborhood, it like transitions. And we were in Target and we were doing laps. And I was like, where is like the liquor? Like I'm trying to, do the family event. And then I asked somebody and they're like, oh, bro, you're in Massachusetts. There's no, like you have to go to a liquor store. And then that just like messed me up. I was like, bro, what do you mean?
Yeah, like, wow, how inconvenient.
That I have to plan my drinks.
Yeah, I have to go to 2 different stores. Even my brother lives in South Carolina, and we were there a couple months ago, and it was the same thing. We had to go to the grocery store, and I believe they sold beer and wine in the grocery store, but not spirits. So we had to go finish our grocery shopping and then go and stop at the liquor store right next door, which is just kind of silly because
why?
Yeah. But yeah, it is funny how every state has their
quirks. Yeah. Okay, last thing, and then we can come back. I think it was like in Utah or something. I just heard you're not allowed to order a drink without food.
Something like that. And they're very strict about what you can have on the table in front of you. Like you couldn't have a beer and a cocktail in front of you because there are some rules like that in Arizona. Like there's only you can't have like 2 doubles in front of you, or you can't have like a certain size beer plus a cocktail in front of you because technically liquor laws in Arizona address that in some way, shape, or form, but most places don't follow it. Like, it's not very strict here. It's just some companies specifically choose to follow it.
Interesting.
Like, for instance, I worked at Zips, and they're really, really strict because they don't want to ever get into, like, a liability thing. So they're super strict about it. But I know, I've worked at dive bars, too, that they don't give a single... they will just give you whatever. So I think it's looser followed here.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I don't know if you saw, but like last night I just posted, or yesterday, I'm a drink goblin. And so I'm just like...
I don't think I saw that. I always look at your stuff, but sometimes I miss things here or there.
do you know what a drink goblin is?
I don't think I've ever heard it, but I'm assuming it's someone that has like 5 drinks in front of them.
Literally.
Yeah.
So yesterday we went and got breakfast, and I had just a normal coffee, and then I had an orange juice, I had a water, and I had a Bloody Mary.
Yeah,
and I
that's
was, it's like one is sweet, one hydrates, one caffeinated, and one's just fun.
yeah, I love that.
And I was like, so when you were describing the drinks, I was envisioning myself like, dude, I would have a tall beer and a cocktail
Yeah.
sometimes. Or I guess I've never tried.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've worked at several places in Arizona, and there's only a few places that have like internal policies about it because of the liquor laws. But I don't think that like anyone's going around and checking. Like it's just
Yeah.
very loosely followed.
Makes sense.
But the
yeah.
problem is if something goes wrong, then they're gonna follow up
The chain or whatever.
backwards to see if if the policies were followed. So it's kind of like
Just follow it or whatever.
yeah, some places they don't want to take the risk, and so they enforce it. Whereas other places, it's like until something goes wrong, we're just gonna keep
Chill.
doing what we're doing.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, it's vibe space. Just don't rat on us and we're
Exactly.
good. Stitches, man. Snitches
Exactly.
get stitches.
Yeah.
Real quick, going back to something you mentioned, which is that you don't buy your own liquor, but it's because you don't have your own liquor license. Like, as a mobile bartender, what are kind of like the barriers to entry for this business?
Yeah, there's actually not many. Even like cost wise, pretty much anyone could do this tomorrow. Like there's nothing really stopping anybody from being able to do it. And it is like a common misconception that you need a liquor license of some sort. And yeah, there is no mobile liquor license. That just doesn't exist. In Arizona, you have to have a brick and mortar location to have a liquor license at that location. And even then, it's extremely expensive. And I mean, you have to pay rent on the brick and mortar, and then the liquor license, they're on
It's
lottery.
like tens of thousands. Oh,
Yeah, so
lottery.
and then I believe there's only a certain amount that are released like per zone, and then when they do release them, it's on a lottery, I believe. And so it's not easy to get it. Even if you did have a brick and mortar, it's not easy to get it.
and just to be clear, a liquor license is different than with beer and wine? Or is
So
that
there's
the
different
same?
levels of it. So yeah,
Okay.
you can get like a beer and wine license, sampling license, and then there's liquor license. There's even, and I don't think they even sell these anymore at all, but there's some people in town that are grandfathered in because they had one before they stopped selling them, where they can sell booze to go as well.
Oh.
So like if you've ever been to like a dive bar and they'll sell you beer to go, it's because they have a really old liquor license.
Interesting.
And then there's even ones that you can gamble. Like the places that have like the scratchers, or they have like the pull tabs, or they do like the horse racing. They have an even older license that has the gambling on top of it. So I find it really interesting. But yeah, so for mobile bartending, you don't, there's nothing that exists unless you already owned like a liquor store, or I mean, I think there's people who like gray area it and they maybe work with a liquor store, or somebody that has like a friend that owns a restaurant or something. Like I don't claim to know exactly how some people do it, but I know that there's sort of a gray area of getting around it.
Gotcha.
Sense. Where you can maybe like invoice through someone who does have a liquor license, and then that would make it so that you could bring the liquor with you. But I just have never gotten into that. I find that like my clients don't really care. But yeah, so as far as what you would need to start it, you really just would need to start. I mean, in Arizona, it's not legally required, but they do have certifications. And it's really easy to do it. It's almost like a food handler certification where you just go and take the test and pay for the test. And then if you pass the test, it's you just get like a certificate that lasts for like a few years. But in Arizona, it's not legally required. A lot of places will require it just like because it's their policy.
Yeah.
But even that is like $25. Like it's really easy. Anyone could get it. But other than that, like you just need someone to hire you, and then you could use their deposit or use the money that they hire you with to buy the product or buy the coolers or whatever you need, buy the icing cups. So like the overhead, is pretty small. Anyone can go and do it tomorrow. Like, so I say that like not in hopes of inspiring everyone that's ever bartended to do it, because that's not my favorite either. But if you are bartending and you have like the ambition, yeah, you could bartend for like your parents' friends, or like if you have regulars at your bar and you know that they have parties at home, like, yeah, you could easily go to be their at-home bartender. Like anyone could do it.
Yeah, it's basically like a self-belief in Instagram, and then just
100%.
shoot your shot.
Exactly.
And then you're going to start learning fast.
Yeah. I mean, you'll undercharge a few times for sure. Yeah. So like that in that sense, but at the end of the day, it's not really going to cost you much.
to get in the door.
Those errors aren't going to cost you much. Yeah. Yeah. So
Can you like break down over the years how your pay and income has changed? Like, have you restructured like how you get income, especially with like different types of events now, and then like with staff and all of those things?
yeah, it's been hard. Like I said, knowing like how much you're going to profit ahead of time is difficult. And so quickly into my business, I had to raise my prices several times. And so it kind of irks me, for lack of a better word, when I see like new companies pop up, because like I said, anyone could do this really, where they're just like totally undercharging. And I'm like, you are going to be so sad in like a month when you have negative dollars, because it's just really easy to undercharge. So yes, I raised my prices just in general. And it's really hard like to know, and I've gone back and forth, like, do I charge per person? Do I charge, it's hard. And I think that's a common thing. Like I have several friends that own mobile bar services in one way or another here, and we have these conversations. It's like it's hard to nail it down, and especially like to get people to understand why it's worth that. And I think that's like in any industry, especially like small business where it's like a service-based thing. It's really hard to kind of like convince people of like your worth in a sense. If they just don't see the value, it's like it's gonna be hard to convince somebody. So yeah, that was tough. I had to keep raising my prices, and then at a certain extent, you just have to have like minimums. But yeah, it's definitely been tough as well growing, and the profit margin as you grow gets less for a while too. So it sort of feels like you have to take a step back or a step down to grow. And so that was a tough.
It's like while you're trying to scale or something.
Yeah,
like
while
that?
I'm trying to scale, like you have to invest a little bit more before you can grow. So it almost feels like you were going uphill, and then you have to kind of like take a step down before you can take like another leap forward. And that can be hard if you don't have like another source of income, or if you don't have a bunch of money saved. Like you're really just living on what your business is making, and you have to kind of like limit that in order to grow. So that part of it was tough for me. And that's when you overwork yourself and you overcommit yourself. And that's where we were talking about earlier, burnout a little bit, because I have been afraid, I guess, to take that step back, because I don't want to like then be like really tight on money and the stress that causes. And so I've been like a little hesitant to like take a leap. So for me, that's been, I'm sort of still in that area, I would say. I think I just sort of overcame a small leap, and I'm now at the point where I mostly don't bartend them personally.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that actually.
Yeah, and that part was really hard for me, because number one, I'm controlling in the sense that like I want it to be perfect, and I want all of my guests to get the experience that I would give them. And so
it's your name. Yeah, right.
So
it's your business.
I'm controlling on the experience. I want them to be, I'm still the brain power behind everything. I'm still doing literally every single thing, except for now when it comes to the event day, I need to like take a step back and let my team handle it. And so it was really hard for me to get to that point, because like I said, I'm controlling. I want the experience to be what it would be if it was me. And that's
if there's an
impossible.
issue, like I hope that person is capable of resolving that issue
in the exact same way that I would, because
exactly.
if they don't, then I feel like I have maybe let down the client.
Yeah.
And so
because it's your name.
Yeah. And I also just want my clients to be happy, and I want it to be a perfect experience. And I know that if something minor goes wrong and I'm there, I know that I can smooth it over, that we can make everything will still be fine. Whereas if somebody else is there, maybe they're not going to say or do the exact same thing that I would. And so then I start to question, well, is the client happy now? And so, yeah, I had a hard time like taking that step back. But everybody that I talked to, like I even mentored underneath this guy from LA who has a wildly successful company. And he was just opened mentorships, and that's what he told me. He's like, you have to step back. You have to let your team work, or else you're not going to grow. It's going to be impossible. So he told me that, and it was still about a year until I actually internalized that and realized, because I had overworked myself so hard, refusing to like let go, that I was like, okay, I can't do that again. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm just starting to feel like I did that in some little bit of success, where I'm like, okay, my team, I can trust my team. It was never them. It was never that I thought I couldn't. It's just, I need some evidence of that, I
Yeah.
guess. So now that I got a little bit of evidence that like, okay, things aren't going to go terribly wrong if I'm not there and they can handle it. And so I just have more faith. And again, not because they ever didn't deserve it, but just because of how much I care, I guess. Yeah.
When did you kind of like start allowing your team to bartend without you there?
Yeah. So this last spring season, it was kind of, I had no choice because I was booked, several events at a time on certain days. And so I had to, I can't only be at one place at a time.
Yep.
So it was kind of against my will in a sense. And I was very stressed out about it. So I got through the season with, the burnout but nothing went wrong. It was
So much work.
it was just a lot of work and a lot of stress that I put on myself because I was not willing to just let go a tiny bit. And so when I went into the summer, I had, it was really slow during the summer, but I did have a few events where I just let the team do it. And now going into this season, I'm like, okay, I have to just let it go. And so that's been going good. It's been going good for the first few weeks of this season. And that's how I'm moving forward with the rest of the season. And I'm looking forward to it, actually. Like I'm happy about it. It feels better. So yeah, I think it was just, like I said, I had many people tell me like, you have to just let it go. You have to step back and like delegate things more. And I was like, oh, sure. And then that last season I was like, okay, I really have to, because otherwise I can't do that again. Cause I'm gonna be tapping out at the end if not. So yeah, that's where I'm at now.
And something I wanted to say, just like overall, as for you as an entrepreneur, I have this saying that I've been saying quite a bit lately, which is when a bird lands on a branch, does the bird trust its wings or the branch?
Yeah, I've heard that. And that's
Nice.
pretty much what it is.
Okay. And yeah, I just wanted to commend you for just like trusting your wings, and it's like starting your own business and putting yourself out there is so intimidating. And from my perspective, it can be so exhausting, but also just so rewarding at the same time.
Yeah,
And
100%.
and I think that it's really cool that you took a leap. And in this new chapter of Prickly Pear Barco, as you're starting to scale, you're starting to trust your team. And it's like, hey, this is like a part of the scaling concept. When we were doing Mo Boho, Elizabeth and I reached a point where we had like a double wedding or something like that. And I had to split with Elizabeth so that me and somebody else would go set up a wedding, and then Elizabeth and somebody else would go set up a wedding,
Yeah.
something like that. But then we were running into a scale issue, meaning like if there was a third event, we would have to have somebody that we trusted enough to handle that and handle any issues if somebody forgot something or whatever
Yeah.
the thing arose. And we never got that far, but I can completely understand where like your discomfort is in doing that, but it's kind of like every like to scale, right?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think like adding to what you said, I find it difficult to, and this is going back to just my weakness that I am learning about myself, is that getting my thoughts and my system that I've created that I found works well when I am doing it with one event, getting that, conveying that to somebody else is what I find difficult. Like it takes mental energy for me to explain it to somebody or for me to teach somebody else.
I could just do it.
Exactly.
Instead of like
Exactly.
spending this energy to like show you how I want it.
Right. Like
Yeah.
I already have a million things to do. Add on to that, explaining it. Well, it would just be easier for me to do it myself. So I found myself in that position a lot. And so for me, that's what was hard to jump from one to the other is I have to almost like make a system and like make like a training book. And
Oh,
like
totally. Standard of process.
Standard of process. Exactly. Yeah. And so that takes a lot of mental energy to like get it to that point.
And then you're in that scenario, like you're coming up with like these standards and you're trying to come up with edge cases too. And that's
Exactly.
also exhausting. And
Right.
it's like, in this scenario, you should try this or
Exactly.
With that being said, like, what other kind of like struggles have you felt, or like what's hard for you right now as a growing business?
Well, going back to what I said about getting on like vendor lists, it's just not been my strength.
But is that also a goal?
I kind of realized that I like dealing with my clients and that I'm finding most of my clients directly on Instagram and that I do well and I like to talk to my clients directly. So I sort of for a while I was very like down about it and I was like what am I going to do and how am I going to and I was very like hyper fixated on it. And then I just realized like that's not my strength and it's not really like it's kind of just ruining this for me, like harping on it so much. And so again, I kind of just like let it take me in the direction that like I don't really need that as much. I question it all the time though. I'm like, should I be focusing more on going into venues and talking to planners and stuff? But I kind of just am like, I just go with the flow and the flow kind of just takes me directly to my clients that find me themselves. Like I have a few party planners and vendor friends that recommend me for sure. Like I'm not saying it's like zero, but I see other people that are like constantly working with the same planner or they're at the same venue every weekend and I'm like, man, I wish that could be me. But yeah, I try not to harp on it. So really I'm not focused on it essentially. Yeah. But like other things that have been hard, definitely not just like trusting staff, but like finding people that are good. That has been a slow process of building to where I am now. Just because I feel like a lot of people, especially bartenders, like they just want to go in and bartend and then leave with their money, which is totally fair, especially if it's like a second gig. I find that like a lot of bartenders don't want to like commit or they don't want to work too hard, for lack of a better word. So I get it, but I need people to like carry heavy stuff and like, you know, we're standing outside in the sun sometimes. So it's been hard to find like the exact right people. I have a lot of good people now, but that was something that was difficult in past seasons. What else?
How's your like social media? I feel like you're pretty on top of your Instagram stuff. I'm not on TikTok, but like are you on TikTok?
I have a TikTok and like when I remember to do it, I do. But the thing about TikTok is it's almost different content that people like. Like you don't go to Instagram and TikTok for the exact same type of content. As a user, I know that's true.
That's so funny.
Because like I go to TikTok for like I go to Instagram for like very polished, like perfectly, you know, edited, beautiful stuff. Inspiration. It's almost like a little social version of Pinterest. And then I go to TikTok for like people just talking and blabbing and behind the scenes. So it's like it's two different categories. So it's like a whole nother job. Gotcha. You have to have a whole nother like column of content for Instagram. So I have a TikTok and sometimes I feel like the Instagram would translate to TikTok and when it does I'll post it, but I don't like create any additional content right now.
Gotcha.
Which I know I need to. Like, I think that's just, I know like there's a girl who does coffee and she blew up from TikTok and that's how her business became. So I know that there's something there for sure. But yeah, with Instagram, I have it down, I think.
And you do everything on your own on Instagram?
Yeah. So nice. I do have.
It looks so good.
Thank you. I recently had, actually, you know her, Caitlin Beal. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she.
Side house.
Yes. So she had reached out saying that they needed some content for Food and Bev because they were like presenting it to a client and could we do some video for you? And I was like, sure. And then that actually turned out really, really, really cool. And it was so fun. And I was like, okay, and so then I use them now occasionally to get me some content like at events that I can't be at and they're great. So I do need help capturing the content a lot because I can't be everywhere at the same time. So in that sense, I'll have them help me. And they're incredible video editors too. Yeah. So, but yeah, for the most part, it's just my iPhone. Like I just take video and photo of everything.
Yeah. That's really cool. Yeah. When I was doing Mo Boho and I guess our wedding circle and all that stuff, yeah, I was pretty much the one driving like a lot of the Instagram development, I guess. Yeah. And yeah, it was like the recording, but it was so interesting how much brain power it took for me, at least, where I had to record and capture and then do the event, all that stuff, and then now the following day or whatever, like recap it all. Yeah. And then recap it in a nice way.
Yeah, and like it's very strategic. Like you have to be strategic. You can't just like there has to be like a
goal to the video or whatever.
You have to like in a like I'm not trained in marketing or anything like that, but I think from being an Instagram user, I can kind of like put myself in the other
what's good and what's not. Yeah.
And so I think that's just what gets me through is like I can see like what I would think from, you know, the consumer's perspective. And so that's just kind of what I go with. But yeah, I mean, I know there's like teams of people who are like they specialize in like creating the concept and the strategies and stuff, and I don't do all that. I just kind of like, oh, this would be a good idea. So I think it could be more
This vibes
well-rounded.
days,
Yeah, I'm just going with vibes, essentially. Yeah.
I think I'm going to do this one. And then you do it and it blows up and you're like, nice.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
and then sometimes I'll spend so much time on something and then it'll totally flop. So
Nice.
I think it's hard to. I used to get really invested in like everything I created, and then I realized like you just have to crank it out.
Yeah.
And sometimes they'll catch wind and blow up, and sometimes it'll just be like a cute thing that like 50 people like, but like you just got to keep
that's still
stuff up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Stay relevant in the algorithm,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's real. I think it's
Definitely.
like when you stop, I think you get stopped being posted.
Yeah,
or
if you're not
visible.
active, even as like a user, like you have to give people likes and comments and follow people and be active. You can't just post only. You have to be consistent about posting, and you also have to be contributing to other people's algorithm as well. So yeah, it's definitely finicky.
Yeah.
It can be frustrating.
Definitely.
That's to say the least. It can be frustrating.
You're like, the algorithm's controlling me. Is like,
100%.
why?
Like and sometimes you feel like you're being punished or something, and like you just have to stick it out. And
keep grinding it out.
Yeah.
What do you have up next for like Prickly Pear Barco? Like, what's kind of like your next couple big steps or moves you're trying to do? You're trying to scale right now, trying to have more events where you're not actually there bartending.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to get it to where I'm not having to be so burnt out. Like I can be still the brains, and I can just be kind of delegating more and having things run flawlessly from the side, and just kind of like watch and clap and be less in the thick of it. So that's a goal for me personally. Like I can't live with that much stress anymore, and I'm still hustling. I'm still,
Yeah, for sure. It's behind the scenes stuff.
Exactly. So that's the goal for me, is to have it feel like more of a well-oiled machine. And I'm happy with like the scale, I would say, at this time. Like I think that I need to get it to be more well-oiled at the scale that I'm at before I can grow anymore.
Yep.
So that's my personal goal, is to just have it feel like it's more smooth.
Yeah, I mean, you just started that part.
Yeah.
Like this year.
Yeah. So, and it feels like it's going the right way. And so hopefully by the end of this season, I have a better grip on that. And then I would like to get more events that like just do more cool events. Like birthday parties are cute, like stuff like that is fun, and like I need to do that, and I still love that, and I like the themes, and I like being creative with that. But I'd like to be part of more events that feel just more creative and more
cool.
Yeah. So
like, what does that mean?
Yeah, good question.
Or like do you have a ballpark idea?
Yeah, so there's this one that was pivotal, and I don't want to get too specific because I don't want to be like so cheesy about it, but there was an event that I did, and it was very like design forward, and it had this really cool chef that was, it was sort of like an influencer event for the chef. And it was just about like his followers, but it was very design forward, and like everything was very cool
Thought
and
out.
like trendy, rather than being like balloons and, because that's a lot of what I do is just like birthday parties. So it's kind of like the kitschy stuff. But I liked how just like elevated it was. And so I would like to get into more stuff like that, where it's like more focused on the food and beverage and just feeling like more of an experience. So I'm not exactly sure how to go about that, but I'm definitely, I've had it in my heart to throw some events myself. So that's something that I'm
cool.
thinking about. Yeah. So like maybe have like a vendor events or like a community event, and just,
Is that like a pop-up? Is that what that would be classified
Yeah,
as?
I've been thinking about that too. So I have a friend who does pop-ups, and he just did like a talk on how to get into those. And so that was really exciting to me. I think just in general, getting more back to the cool roots of cocktails and like the hospitality industry in general, versus being so like consumed by my personal business. I just want to grow myself with, cocktail techniques and getting more into the trends of cocktails that are happening right now. Just basically get back to like the coolness of being a bartender and cocktails and the trends and all that. So, yeah, I've been thinking of doing a pop-up of some kind where like my followers or like just people who support me who would maybe never hire me because they don't like have parties like that or whatever, could come and like try the cocktails and be part of an experience experience in that sense. So I have some ideas that I'm thinking about with that.
She's
Hopefully
sick.
by Christmas. I think it's going to be like a Christmas themed something. And then, yeah, maybe having like a community event where it's more just like food and drinks. Like it's not really about anything except for like sometimes it's cool to just like go out and like
Be with people.
and just like hang out and like have some good drinks, and it doesn't always need to be like such a reason. Like
Yeah.
there isn't,
Yeah, totally makes sense. Touching base a little bit about something you said. You mentioned like cocktail trends. Have you noticed trends within
for sure.
like within the drinks?
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Like when I learned how to bartend in like, I don't know, 2011 or something, it was like Long Island iced tea.
Lit.
Yeah, exactly. Like Grateful Dead's and like Washington apples and like just the trends of cocktails for sure over the years goes up and down. And like it's funny because if you don't work in a bar for a long time, you kind of can miss out on that. So I like to occasionally go back to a bar and work at a bar, like just even if it's like once or twice a week, because then you learn a bunch of new techniques or what's trending right now, and you kind of like refresh on stuff instead of, because if you never go back, then all you know is what you knew when you would bartend 10 years ago or whatever. So
Yeah.
I definitely like.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I'm sure you can see it too, not being a bartender. Like you go to a bar and you can see that the cocktails have all these ingredients now that you don't know what they are. And it's like,
It's not an espresso martini anymore or whatever.
Right.
That's a hot thing right now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Espresso martinis. And then like mules were popping at one time. Old fashions, like it's been a few years now, probably like 10 years that those have been. But yeah.
On the ick list now.
No, I don't think not.
It's like, that's an old people drink.
Oh my God. No, I think it was. That's what people thought before until it came back.
They're like, it's in the name.
Now that's like the little hipster drink.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
The IPA guys are transitioning over.
To old fashions. Yeah. But yeah, I'm like, I'm having a hard time thinking of like exactly what I mean. But like cocktail bars, like mixology in general, where there's like a 10 touch cocktail, like those types of cocktails are trending. I think it's going away a little bit, but like, you know,
is that a million
clarified-
steps? Is that what that means? Like
yeah,
10,
where there's like
10
10 different things that you need to touch to put in there. And it's like modifiers that's like a quarter of an ounce that like, does it really make a huge difference on the cocktail? But like those cocktails that just had like a list this long of stuff that's in it and you barely know what any of it is, like that was really cool for a while. And people would just order them thinking it was going to be sweet because it said watermelon, and then they get it and it's like bitter, you know? But I think that's going away a little too. So yeah. I think like batched cocktails is definitely trending right now. Like clarified cocktails.
Elizabeth loves a clarified drink.
Yeah, I mean, I love it too. But yeah, I like the trends of it. So I got to stay on top of that for sure.
Do you have like a top two, bottom two cocktails that you love to make and hate to make?
Nothing really comes to mind about like hating to make. I don't really like, some people will say like they hate to make mojitos or like a lot of people say espresso martini they hate, but like I don't really hate to make any cocktail. I like to make, like, my go-to type of cocktail is like a sour, just because I feel like there's a ton of ways to modify it. It's always a crowd pleaser. But anything shaken, like, I like a shaken drink because it just, everything starts to melt perfectly. Yeah, I don't really, I know a lot of people.
So positive.
Yeah, I don't
so
really
positive.
care. I don't really care.
You're like, dude, whatever you want, I can make it.
Yeah, okay, I will say, like a frozen drink, I'm out. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, we have to put that in the freezer now, so yeah.
Yeah, or the blender's broken. The blender's always broken.
Yeah. It's just loud, and it's like, what is that when you're like overstimulated? You're like
the
talking to people.
Overload.
Yeah, sensory overload.
But like, so if you work at a bar, I feel like it's totally different. You know, like there's always going to be a cocktail that's like on the menu that's like really annoying to make because you have to like when I worked at this rooftop bar, there was a cocktail that had sorbet in it, and it was just a pain in the ass because the sorbet was either always too melted. So then the drink would overflow, or it was really hard to scoop. So just like little stuff like that, like things that are like friction-y, that's always irritating. But as far as what I do, there's usually a set menu, and it's usually there's nothing that could be too annoying. So
yeah. And probably by then you have everything already prepped. So from a prep perspective, you're like, you just combine everything.
Exactly. Yeah,
Gotcha.
But if you work in a bar, I can definitely see how certain cocktails are more annoying than others. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, as a bartender or somebody who has a lot of experience with creating drinks, do you like what's your kind of favorite drink right now what's your go-to?
Yeah, people ask me this all the time. I am big on trying what's on the menu. So,
Mm.
like, it's totally my hobby, and I think it's forever the coolest thing ever when you go into like a new bar, or even if it's just new to me. Someone put so much thought into everything, and I just
Hmm.
find it really cool. So I'll just try something from the menu. And usually I'll try like 3 or 4 from the menu because it's like they all tell a story, and they're all like part of the same family, but if they do a good job, they're really different. So yeah, I always just try something from the cocktail menu. I typically don't like gin, although I'm like liking it more lately. I used to be big into tequila, and I'm not a huge fan of tequila anymore. So if something has mezcal, I normally will try that because I just always like to see what people do with it because it's hard to make it not be just smoke.
To make it not taste like mezcal.
Correct. Yeah. So if there's like just little stuff like that will stick out to me, but typically I'm cool with whatever. Like
Hmm.
I don't really, I'll try anything. I don't like pickles. So like sometimes there'll be pickly stuff. Would never order that.
What is that, like a martini? Are you into
Yeah.
those?
I
I
do.
guess that's also gin and pickles.
I
Okay.
get a vodka martini
Okay.
and I get it dirty. So it's basically just vodka and olive juice. And I
Yeah.
do love that.
Okay, nice.
But like if I was at like a dive bar, I'd order a vodka press. Just nothing crazy. Just, yeah.
Have you ever had a pickleback?
That's what I'm talking about. I would never do that.
Okay,
No.
gotcha. It's incredible.
I know people are obsessed with it, and it's kind of trending.
Right? Really?
Yeah, I think like it's definitely like a thing that people realized, and so now it's kind of a thing that people are liking lately. But
I did it in like 2018 or 19. I was at a bar and I was in New Mexico and I was like, what's like the drink out here? And the guy goes, bro, pickleback shot.
it might have been a few years ago, actually. Now that you say that, yeah.
And I was like, I have no idea what that is. And it's a shot of whatever and a shot of pickle juice.
Mhm.
And I think I had like, I don't know, Jameson or some
Yeah, I was gonna say they
whiskey.
usually do it with Jameson.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice. And I took a shot of the Jameson and then I took a shot of the pickle juice. And it was so interesting how fast the pickle juice just erased the memory
Right.
of the other drink.
Because it's so
It's so-
salty,
Yeah.
and like
Sour, I guess.
vinegar, maybe. Like
Mhm.
it just kills the taste, supposedly. But I wouldn't like that because I just don't like pickles. So there's just some things that like, yeah, it's trending, but I just specifically hate pickles.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to make it. I don't want
I
to
don't.
drink
Oh
it.
my gosh, yeah. For a while,
I don't want to smell it. I'm
Yeah,
done.
and honestly, like I don't want to ruin this for you or anybody else, but pickles, like how long has that pickle jar been sitting back there?
Ooh.
Like, just like coming from like the side of like I know where that pickle jar is. That pickle
Yeah.
jar's been here since I started working here 5 years
The
ago.
back of the fridge. And you're like, bro, that's gross.
There's like crumbs on top of
Yeah.
it, and like you
You
have to
open it,
wipe that off
it's
before you open it.
crusty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's another thing about it is like it's the same thing with tomato juice. To be so honest, if I ever go to a bar, I'm like, how long has that tomato juice been there? Like, or like if they have Bloody Marys on the menu, it's probably fine
Because of the shaking.
because they use it.
Oh,
they
yeah.
go through it because it's on the menu. But if it's not on the menu, then they probably just have some back there that like hardly ever gets opened.
Yeah.
So same thing with like milk and stuff. But anyways, I'm just getting into like the nuances of actually working at a bar and like, knowing sometimes like the secrets of how things cannot be cute.
That's so funny. Okay, and then maybe last thing for you is, do you have any words of advice or any thoughts for anybody that's listening who might be interested in getting into the private bartending game?
Yeah, like I said before, like anyone can do this. Like there's nothing super special about anyone that's done it except for like they just didn't quit. If they've been, successful, it's like they just really didn't give up. That's the only difference. Because I've seen a lot of people like businesses start and then they'll do it for a few months and then they kind of just like fizzle out and it's like, well, you quit. That's the only difference. So yeah, like it's anyone could do it. If you know how to bartend, like you have a good base and just give it a shot. Like just post on Facebook or like text your friends, talk to your regulars at your bar about it, about how you do it. And, things will come up and you'll just learn as you go. And like I look back on stuff that I did in the beginning and I'm like, wow, that was really crappy or whatever.
Exactly.
But at the time that they were happy with it, So, and then also don't like undercharge because that isn't, it just hurts the industry in general. So just like charge your worth, like know your worth, even though you're new, that doesn't mean that you deserve to do it for free because all it does is take away from the rest of the industry. And then once you realize it's not sustainable, then you're going to just quit or give up. And then the rest of us are going to be like, yeah, we're still here, like charging what we were charging before. So just definitely like make money. Like don't sell yourself short just because you're new for sure.
Yeah.
That would be my advice.
Hannah, thank you so much for
Thank
coming on to
you.
today's episode. Everyone, if you're throwing a party or event, definitely reach out to Prickly Pear Bar Co. We'll have her links and stuff down in the comments or whatever.
Thank you.
Awesome.